Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to today's episode of 219 Green Connect, where we explore topics about the environment and green living in Northwest Indiana. For past show archives, news, and upcoming events, you can check out our website at 219greenconnect.com or connect with us on Facebook or Twitter. Our ID on both Facebook and Twitter is 219 Green Connect. You can also subscribe to our podcast via iTunes. Listeners to our live show today can phone in at 805-243-1323 to post questions or to join us on the live call. I'm Kathy Sipple. I'm your host today. And with me, I have Emily Russell. Hello, Emily.
Hi. Hi, Kathy. Thanks for having me today.
You are welcome. Emily is going to be talking about the benefits of eating local food and moving toward a more vegetable-centered diet, and how vegetables nourish our bodies and calm our digestive systems, and also how she manages to get her children and yours to eat more vegetables and really enjoy it. And we're going to be talking about a few local farmers markets and other local food resources that we particularly enjoy. So, Emily, tell us a little bit about yourself. You've got a background in education and nutrition. Take us through a little bit of what brought you to this path.
So my background, I have my degrees in biology, and then I also have a master's in teaching and was a high school teacher for about 5 years in Chicago before moving back here. I'm from the area. I'm from Valparaiso originally. And I've just always had a real passion, interest in health, and then it's kind of grown to be more natural living and local food as I moved back here. And I just feel like we're so lucky where we live in the Midwest to have access to all of these farmers markets in the summer. And this time of year we have so much great local food, and I just really like to teach people about it and make sure they can take advantage of it and know where to find all the good stuff, basically.
Great. Well, tell us a little bit about, why you think it is so important to have a vegetable-centered diet.
Well, what's interesting is, and I read the statistic and it stunned me, only 2% of Americans, 2% actually get the recommended daily allowance of fruit and vegetables.
Wow.
And I know that number is amazing, and you really want to, I know, and then you think about how, and then you look at our country and how sick everybody is, and those are really related. I mean, we're supposed to, your goal should be to eat roughly like 6 or 9 vegetables a day. And different ones, ideally. When you go to the grocery store, you go to the farmer's market, and you see all the different colors of all the fruits and vegetables, well, that's their way, right, of telling you what's in that vegetable. That means all of those, they have different nutrients and antioxidants and vitamins for the body. So that's when that old saying, like, eat like a rainbow and all the different colors. But it's really true. And, as I work with people, I also do like nutritional consults with people, and I kind of walk through their diet and have them tell me what you're eating for breakfast and lunch and dinner. And most people are really surprised when they start actually listing it at the end of the day. We're sort of like, okay, how many vegetables do you think you had? And usually it's maybe one,
wow.
maybe like with like a tomato on a sandwich at lunch or something. And I think our diet has gone more towards convenience food rather than nutrition.
Sure.
And it's gotten more, we have a lot of dairy and a lot of grains that we sort of and meats that we base our diets around. So it's really hard for people to even think about, well, how would I cook? Like, most people see vegetables as maybe a side dish at dinner, but it's hard for people to start thinking about how to eat more of them. But it's really important. I mean, as a country right now, 2 out of 3 people are overweight or obese. That's 2/3 of us.
Wow.
Since 1999, so just, in the last 10, 12 years, heart disease has gone up 10%, and that's the number 1 killer. Cancer's gone up 20%, which is the number 2. Diabetes has gone up 35%. And what, as a mom, I have a 2.5-year-old, and what really got me, I was watching a movie about the local food and health in America, and 1 out of 3 kids born today aren't going to live as long as their parents. And it's the first time in history we have a generation that actually has a shorter life expectancy than the one before. if we don't change things about our diet. So I really feel a real kind of like a calling and a passion to really help people, educate people about how to start, making small changes at home and in your diet to include more vegetables. And this time of year is the perfect time to do it with all of the farmers markets and garden opportunities that we have around here.
Right. And I did mistakenly say children, but you have another child on the way, so I'm sure you're particularly watching what you eat right now with a baby due in the near future.
I am, and one of my favorite sort of local farmer that I go to is Andy Vasquez, and he runs J&J Organics. And
yes.
I know they always have a booth. What's that?
Oh, I've met him several times. Very nice man.
Oh,
yeah.
He's a wonderful man, and they usually have a booth at the Valpo Farmers Market, Chesterton, St. John, and maybe, do you know if he has any other locations that he goes to?
I know he is at those three. Beyond that, I'm not sure.
And what I love about him is everything that he grows. He's a master gardener, and everything is organic. And now that I'm pregnant, and when I had my daughter, I really try to do that. It's it's hard in this area. We don't have a lot of options that are organic, but he's one that's great this time of year. Just because when you buy organic produce and you eat organic, not only are you avoiding a lot of the pesticide load in your food, but you're also helping to support more sustainable agricultural. They use all natural fertilizers, and it's easier on the environment, on the soil. They sort of rotate crops, and it's just a really great thing to support if you can. So I really like to go to his booth.
Right. I want to give another shout-out to J&J also has a CSA program. Beyond the farmers market, you can actually subscribe and purchase a share, and I know they have some very flexible terms. Andy will let you skip a week if you're going to be out of town and double up the next week. I mean, you'd have to ask him about it, but it seems like he's quite flexible. And another one that I know is very committed to organic here locally is Creme de la Crop in Valparaiso. And they certainly, put the organic right out there and feel that is a very important part of their business model. One thing that you said, Emily, is if you can afford it, if you can do it, because organic, it does cost a little bit more. So, I would like to give people a broad spectrum of options, and I'm not saying that, one is great and there's another that's not great, but, I think there are a lot of local farmers, and I can't swear to this or prove it because I'm not, USDA inspector or whoever licenses for organics. But I think that to get your organic certification does take about 5 years, if I understand correctly, to certify that your soil has been chemical free for that long. And there is a cost associated with it. So I know that there are farmers who have been gardening in ways that basically are organic, but they're not certified. So I think the best thing to do is really to get to know your food provider, talk to them, and find out about what they're doing. Create that level of trust and get to the level that you can afford and you can sustain, for your family. So that's my little infomercial.
No, absolutely. I totally agree to ask, because a lot of times at the farmers markets, if you ask them, well, how did you grow this, and did you use pesticides? And you're right, a lot of them don't, but they didn't. It's expensive to get that certification.
Right, and I know that there's another initiative right now being led by Grow NWI, and they have a website at grownwi.com, and they are affiliated with County Line Orchard. And they hosted a really neat dinner last fall. It was kind of a harvest dinner where they invited local farmers to supply them for each of the various dishes, and it was served family style, and everything served was, raised locally, and it was just so fun.
Oh, that's great.
It was really, really good, and they're going to be doing it again. It sold out last year, and they'll be doing it again. They also are behind the community garden initiatives. They've got like 12 or 13 flagship community gardens. I think that number is growing all the time, where they're helping out churches and boys and girls clubs to do these raised bed gardens. They've donated the wood for the raised beds, the soil, and the vegetables, and quite a bit of labor to get them started. Because what could be better than growing your own vegetables right outside, your child's not daycare facility, but the Boys and Girls Club. They can actually go out, be a part of the growing, and then bring that in and eat it for lunch or something. And then a new program, and I'm sorry, I'm just kind of rambling here, but I'm so excited about all of the programs that keep coming up, is they're collecting excess produce from farmers, from these community gardens, and from, I think about a maybe 45-mile radius. I think they go about as far as South Bend. So if they've got a farmer who can't get to market or didn't sell everything they had at market, they're collecting this excess produce and delivering it via a green box. It kind of looks like a recycling box. And for $15 a week, it's actually delivered to your home. This has been kicked off just in the Valparaiso area for now, but I think their thought is to expand it beyond Valparaiso. So that's a neat thing. Wow. That certainly makes it easier and pretty affordable for people to incorporate vegetables, regularly into their diets. And they are not
wonderful.
Yeah, they're not organic to the best of my knowledge, but they're what I've heard called low impact. So, they do their best to keep it local, and they are aware of chemical uses, but they're not certified organic. So anyway.
I was going to say, too, with, like you said, organic can be expensive, and one of the best things that the Environmental Working Group has a list, I don't know if you've seen that, of the top, they call the Dirty Dozen, like worst 12 sprayed vegetables and fruits, and then the best 12. And really, if you can avoid the worst 12, they say you can avoid 95% of your pesticide exposure. So
and that's
really,
just because
I think
some vegetables kind of retain higher percentages, just the way that the vegetables are made up. Is that the idea?
Some of it's that, but some need to be sprayed more due to how we've kind of cultivated them. For one, apples is maybe the number one, and that's because apple trees are grafted, so they're all clones of each other.
Okay.
So they can't, normally in nature, a plant will evolve natural defenses to the insects that are trying to eat it, and they'll change. The plant adds in, a compound or something that doesn't taste good to the insect, and then the insect, it's called coevolution. The insect changes a little bit, and the plant changes a little bit. But when you take that out by keeping the plant the same, which we've done with apples because it makes them taste very good, if you let them breed naturally, you get kind of apples that aren't very tasty. They're not very sweet. So we've done that for taste, but then they really suffer because the plants can't protect themselves against the insects. So you end up having to spray them more. So that's part of the reason some crops are, and cotton is another one like that. So that's why they seem to retain, they're more sprayed on them.
Okay. So did you make small changes in your household once you became aware of these statistics, or were you already eating, pretty healthy?
Oh, no, I think we definitely were like most Americans. And, when I was teaching and when you're working, everyone gets busy. And I think I ate a little bit more. I was never a big fast food person, but I would eat convenience food and maybe, things that are slightly more processed that you go to the store and maybe you just have to heat them up. But over time, as I learned more, I started to try to incorporate just more fresh food. And local food, like you said, is so important. There's so much more nutrient content when you can eat it from your own garden or from a local farmer. So much is lost in the days that things are shipped across the country, the days that it sits in the grocery store. I was reading another statistic that since 1950, there's been up to a 38% decline in the nutrient value of our produce.
Wow.
And I think Rutgers University did a study where they looked at different fruits and vegetables and compared and actually looked at, how much iron is actually in this tomato, how much calcium is in here. And in the produce from the grocery store, there was almost no iron in the tomato, whereas they compared it with a local organic tomato that was packed. So there really is a difference. So eating locally, you're going to really feel a difference in your energy level, and you're really feeding the body the nutrients that it needs. So I've definitely tried to make that switch, and it's not easy. But like you said, like that program is great with Grow NWI, how they're having community gardens and where kids can see that. Because that's so much kids. A lot of kids don't like to eat vegetables, but they're not exposed to them early on, and they're not exposed to the fun part of, well, here's a garden, and look at this grow from seeds, and all children are fascinated with that. So if you can get children involved in that, go ahead.
Oh, that's okay. We're actually participating in the Valparaiso Parks Department Community Garden Program. It's our second year. It's up at Foundation Meadows in Valparaiso off of Campbell, and they doubled the number of beds this year, or plots this year, and I am really excited to see the number of families that are participating. Last year there were just a few people that had kids, but this year it seems like a much greater percentage of families that come out on the weekends, and they're there, planting with the kids, weeding, watering, and I just think, wow, what a great experience. It's just kind of neat to see families making that a hobby instead of sitting in front of the TV. Not that I don't sit in front of the TV sometimes, but
right.
they're really connecting with the food, and you can see the kids getting excited about it. It's their own little project, so that's been fun.
And it really is, and then when you take those vegetables home, it's not something you're trying to force down them. It's something they've seen grow, and they're actually excited about it. And I know you said you saw a father at Town and Country who goes there with his child.
I was just thinking of him. I don't have any idea what his name is, and I've never butted in on their conversation. But it's a youngish father, I would say probably, late 20s, early 30s, and he's with this adorable dark-haired little girl that must be, 2 or 3 years old. And he asks her in the produce section, what do you want? Tell me what you want. Show me what you want. And this girl must know all of the words for every vegetable. Every now and then she'll point out a new one, like rutabaga. But, I'm not sure I could pick one out of a lineup, frankly. It's not something we eat a lot of. But, I just so enjoy seeing them together. And I think what a neat experience. And he's really taking the time to bond with his daughter, number one, but also really teach her, about what these things are. Maybe taking the fear out of it. If you don't know what they are or they don't look good, you're not going to participate in it or be excited about it. But yeah, that's a neat thing. So what are your other tips?
Great idea.
What do you do as a teacher to kind of help, parents help their children, or to help the children directly to get more excited about vegetables?
Well, I think that's one great. It depends on where you're also at as a parent. If you're in the beginning stages before, as kids are really starting to eat foods, that's a great place to start by feeding, when kids are first eating their first foods, feeding them vegetables before fruits. Our palate is designed to love sugar and fat and salt, so they're going to like that later in life no matter what. So you want to introduce them to the mild flavors first, the vegetables. And really, you also have to look at your own opinion of vegetables, too. Just because you don't like asparagus or you wouldn't think to pick that up at a store, you'll be surprised at what your children's palate will like. So I think it's trying a lot of different things. Oh, and Kathy, are you there?
Yes, I'm just listening.
Hold on.
Go. Okay.
Can hear another conversation for a second again.
Oh, okay. I'm fine.
Go.
Okay.
Oh.
We're all good on this end.
Okay, I'm just hearing another conversation a little bit in and out.
Okay.
So sorry if I'm...
That's okay. That's okay. I understand it might be a little hard to hear through, but it might be on your phone because this end is fine. Okay,
but so some of that is, starting kids with vegetables. I like to hold off on any, sugars and juices until they're even, 2 years old, really, because that's just... You're forming their taste palette. So really you want to just expose them to a lot, like that father at the grocery store, at the farmer's market. Let them choose foods. If you have an older child that already kind of has an aversion and that kid that just says they won't eat vegetables, I think the community gardening is a great way. Take them to the grocery store. Take them to the farmer's market and have them pick out things that look interesting. And don't make it a huge conflict issue. And then bring it home and involve them not just in the shopping, but also in the cooking, because there's certain things that are age-appropriate that kids can do. Like even my daughter, when she was not even 2, could help me tear the leaves off of kale, off of the big stem. So she would help with that. You find something that they can help with, and when they're involved in that process and then serving the food or setting the table and cleaning up, the kids really like that at that young age. They like to help and they like to see all that, and it just makes them more interested in what they're eating. Some kids need a little bit more sort of coddling or a little push so you can make foods like the vegetables look more interesting, like different presentations, kind of make them look like faces. Or I know some parents have good luck kind of creating pretend stories around some of the foods, like making, carrot swords and broccoli trees and talking like stories about what's going on with the food.
That sounds fun. I may enjoy that.
Go to that level.
Yeah,
and
very creative.
It's that. Yeah, it's like that. How you're saying, like that father was just taking time to bond with your child. I think we so often get busy and I have to shop and get my food. I have to cook dinner and get it on the table, and just kind of play with it a little bit. And that's what kids love. And that's when you find them more willing, I think, to just they're playing. So they're more playing with their food. It's kind of like an adventure, and then they'll end up trying more things. Another thing is like dips and spreads, like having. As long as they're getting the vegetable in, I say you can dip it in chocolate for anything, as long as they're getting the nutrients in. A lot of kids love dip, so making, like, even if it's ranch or whatever, cheese or whatever it is, as long as they're getting the vegetables first. So I know a lot of parents have luck when your kids are hungry before dinner, when they come home from school, is having all of those vegetables out as the snack before the meals. Or serving it first before you serve the pasta or the rice or the noodles or whatever they're going to like, but putting out the vegetable first. And when they're that hungry, usually they're bound to eat and try some of that stuff.
Sure, especially if there's a little cheese or ranch dressing dip or something.
Right,
Sure.
right. And that's fun. They're still getting all of the good nutrients. So I think that's really important.
Right.
There's a great store in Valparaiso called Mothering by Nature. And she sometimes has different classes there, and I'm actually doing a class in July just about that, about how to raise healthy eaters, and with more ideas and tips and recipes and snack ideas for parents of how to start moving towards like fruit and vegetable snacks rather than, I think, the marketing is so great in our culture. They've done such a good job of putting things in a package. It's almost like parents think that snack food only comes from packages at the grocery store.
Right, and therefore that's what the kids think too.
That's what they think, right?
Yeah.
And it's it's really, it's not our fault. We've been marketed there. It's wonderful, and they'll even put has omega-3s or contains whole grains, and so you feel like you're buying great stuff. But if you look at the label, it's not really food. I mean, there's a lot of other stuff that's in there.
Well, and I'm sorry. I was thinking of another friend of mine who grew a garden last year for the first time, and her son said, "Mom, this is a baby carrot. The baby carrot had, green stuff on top." So, come to find out that the baby, air quote, baby carrots at the store, a lot of them are machined into just carrot nubs, basically. They're not even baby carrots. And I'm like, how crazy is that? But he was so excited to see a true baby carrot. And I think, once kids see that that's the real deal, they are interested. They just have to get in touch with the authenticity of the food and, kind of take a peek behind the curtain, and then they seem curious and interested.
They really are. And I just think that's so important. Now, they said that children born after the year 2000, I think 1 in 3 are going to develop type 2 diabetes, and 1 in 2 if they're a minority.
Wow.
And we can change that, though. It's totally preventable. That's mostly based on diet, and a lot of it is it's sort of, the idea is to crowd out all of the junk sort of with the good stuff. And you can't take away everything kids love and we love, and with those chips and snacks, and they're delicious, and the food companies know how to make them and make us love them. And it's not realistic that you're never going to eat that way, but if you can just sort of add in the good stuff, it eventually crowds out more of that, the carbs and the sugars and the dairy. And I think when I was young, we kind of thought of sugar as bad for kids because it makes them hyper or it rots their teeth, And we've learned now there's a lot more serious dangers to eating too much sugar. And it's not just that with kids, it makes the body acidic. And cancer can only grow in an acidic environment, which is why you see children's cancer rates going up as well. Osteoporosis, when you have a acidic environment, your body starts to pull minerals from the bone to balance it out and make it more alkaline. So it can lead to osteoporosis and just general inflammation. And inflammation in the body is what causes kind of all the things you don't want to get, like heart disease and cancers, and we all know diabetes is increasing. So it's all of those things that are really a lot more dangerous than just hyper kids. And so it's really, we really need to look at it more as really more important, kind of like a mission to get kids involved and interested in those, and not kind of, I think Americans are sort of known for letting their kids have these mono diets where all they eat is buttered noodles or
potato
pasta,
chips and fries.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, these kids that say, I eat 3 foods or 4 foods, and I think, as a culture, we need to help parents and help each other raise kids so that they are exposed to more and they really enjoy all the great stuff that we have, the foods that there are to offer.
Good. And setting a good example, as a family, I'm sure is pretty important. They are going to be looking at your plate to see what you're eating.
And I think that parents, you're the role model, and I think most parents start off, everybody wants the best for their kids. So most parents, when kids are first starting to eat, they make them all these wonderful, healthy meals, and by them maybe, the organic berries and the fruit. But then what happens when that child gets a little bit older and they look over at your plate and they see what you're eating and it's not the same anymore, well, they're going to want what you're eating. And now you've gotten in this habit of, most of my friends are in this sort of conundrum of, well, now my child's used to me cooking them a separate little meal. And so they either want their separate meal, which might be what you see out at restaurants on a kid's menu. Like, you think kids eat hot dogs, macaroni and cheese, and chicken nuggets. But, if you can you be the role model and start cooking healthier and using more vegetables, then your kids, when I raised my daughter, she's just always eaten from our plate. So it gets you healthier in the process, and they're just eating what you're eating. So they don't know anything else. They say that's normal to them.
Right. Well, it sure seems like it would be a lot easier to do one meal if you can get everybody on board.
Exactly. It's going to save you time.
Yeah. Well, tell us a little bit more about the class that you'll be conducting. Where can people find out more information about the workshop?
Mothering by Nature has a website, and they're also on Facebook. I'll be also posting flyers and sort of informational brochures around town and in the different coffee shops, but it's going to be called Raising Healthy Eaters, and it's July 21st. It's on a Saturday from 10 in the morning till 11:30, and we're going to sort of go over how to involve kids in shopping, cooking, serving, talk a little bit about what we did today, with farmers markets and CSAs and gardening, and just go into more details, and also give parents and families resources so they'll walk away with some recipes, some snack ideas, and just ways to get kids involved, and hopefully their whole family is healthier and eating more vegetables.
Good. Well, that sounds great. Well, I hope you will post some information on Facebook that I can share, both on the 219 Green Connect site. I'll be happy to repeat it on the 219 Green Connect page as well. But that sounds like a wonderful program.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Is there a number or an email that people can reach you if they would like a personal consultation? Yeah,
my email is emilyerussell, so EMILYE. Russell is RUSSELL @gmail.com.
Okay.
And my phone number is, go ahead.
No, please go ahead.
And my phone number is 219-707-5430. And I do health consultations and nutritional consults with people and look at what they're eating and how we can add in foods and also supplements to make them and their family as healthy as they can be.
That's great. Well, if you're just joining us, this is Kathy Sipple, and this has been another episode of 219 Green Connect. My guest today is Emilyrussell, and she's been telling us how we can eat more healthily by eating local and helping our children to develop better eating habits as well. So we've shared quite a number of local food resources for you. There will be an archive available of this show at blogtalkradio.com 219-GREEN Connect, as well as available via iTunes and directly from the website. So thank you so much, and we hope you'll join us back here for the next show. Thanks, Emily.
Thank you, Kathy. Thanks for having me today.
You're welcome.